Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Dr. Cybersecurity. And today, my guest is Fortune Onwuzuruike. Fortune, please introduce yourself and say hello to everyone.
Hello, good day, everyone. My name is Fortune Onwuzuruike, and I'm very excited to be a part of this webinar, this podcast. I'm looking forward to it. This video. I'm looking forward to talking a little bit about my background, how I got to where I'm at right now, and just a little bit about my journey, and just giving some advice and tips for those who may want to transition into cybersecurity. Currently, I am a senior. Currently, I'm a security program manager at Microsoft. I have a background from PMP. I have a health IT background. I have multiple certifications with whether if it's around Epic Security, the HC, ISPP, PMP, AWS, Azure Cloud. So I have a loaded amount of certifications, and my specialty interest ranges anywhere from vulnerability management, cyber risk management, cloud security, etc. So I look forward to meeting everybody, learning a little bit about everyone, and getting to share my journey with you all.
Well, that is wonderful. That is a very, very diverse and strong background. This is wonderful. I actually spent some time in healthcare also.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was CIO at the Baltimore City Health Department.
Nice.
And I did a lot of work in the healthcare sector. And even my doctoral dissertation was in the healthcare sector.
Okay. Nice. What was your topic on the doctoral sector?
What I was trying to do is see if security culture within an organization explains security behavior. Is there a correlation? And what I did was, and of course we would expect that. And in 2010, another study had done that. So I kind of replicated that study, took stuff from there, improved on it, and did my study within the US.
That's a great topic. I like that a lot.
Great. So what do you want to talk about today? What should we discuss today?
Well, we could talk a little bit anywhere from healthcare security, but because that's a little bit of my specialty. That's where my background is. But my main focus today would be around transition into cybersecurity.
Okay. As in for yourself or for other people?
For myself and other people, as I continue to climb up the ladder, what does that look like for me becoming a director or a CIO, like how you've been in the past, or a CISO, and also to help other people who may be, starting their early career into their mid-level career into a manager role.
Okay. Yes. So you're already in cybersecurity, even though you may not think so, because to me, cybersecurity is the digital strategy of an organization. So you're doing Epic, you're doing all these various things, PMP, project management. Well, all of those things are aspects of cybersecurity. So for example, cybersecurity starts with strategic planning, relationship building, reliability, quality, team building, projects and services, promoting the organization. So even talking about the value that we are creating, those are all aspects of cybersecurity, because if we don't know how to argue about the value we're producing, we can never get budgets, we can never get anything done, right? Because you never go asking for budgets without understanding what is the value created, right? So for example, an expenditure of $1 million might sound big, right?
Yeah.
But if your return on investment is $40 million, then all of a sudden that $1 million seems cheap, right?
Yeah, for sure.
There you go. And similarly, so I cannot say, oh, give me $1 million or give me $100,000 without actually demonstrating what is the return on investment that we're expecting. And that has been my problem with many of the people that ask for budgets. They never talk about the return, right? I mean, cybersecurity or our digital strategy, we never do anything where there will be a loss. I've never done any job where I was an expense, right? Even though many chief financial officers or people like that will look at humans as an expense because they're not used to thinking of humans as productivity engines. But I've always viewed humans as productivity engines, right? There's no way anybody would hire you if you did not produce more than what you got paid, right?
That's true.
So this is the transition that people need to make. So once you start making that level of transition and being able to talk like that about anything that you do, strategy, that's when you are thinking like a CIO, C-level executive. You see, that's what C-level executives do. They tie everything to the business. They tie everything to the mission. So even though you may be working for Microsoft, I'm assuming that you have clients, or do you have external clients that you're working for, or is it
Yeah, we of course we
internal?
have external. We have external clients in Microsoft for sure.
Are you working with some of them?
Oh no, I'm not working with them
Oh,
directly.
okay. Got it. So anyway, the thing is to understand the leadership aspects of cybersecurity. That is the key to getting there. And then the communication skills.
No, that makes sense. It's perfect sense. Um, I guess the communication skills is really big. Sometimes that could be, under the radar. Some people may think you need to have the CISSP, you may need to have your masters, you may have different stuff of that nature. I guess what are some of the things, I guess, just from my experience, some of the people who ask me these different questions, I think it'll be good to ask an executive like you this type of question.
Mhm.
What are some of the things that people can work on for those who may not have the 5 years or 10 years experience and those certifications, those golden standard certifications? I know they're highly looked at, but is it really a deal breaker?
I don't think so. I don't value certifications if you cannot talk, right? Because the very most important thing is your ability to talk about yourself with confidence, but tying it to actually how you made a difference. So it is not so good to say I worked on Epic, because what does that tell me? Nothing. But if you were able to say that the system used to be this, we then changed it to Epic or whatever system,
Yeah,
and what did we get in terms of business value? How did it change? Did it reduce errors? Did it? Because it probably would have,
yeah, for sure.
because it's a health information technology environment, right? So you're now looking at the patient's entire health history. So obviously you're going to reduce errors. You're going to do more holistic treatment. So if
Yeah.
you can start talking about those kinds of things, now it is much better when you're going to a job interview, instead of saying I worked on Epic, because the Epic is not the issue. The issue is, what is the business benefit or health benefit that you accomplished? That's the way.
No, that makes sense. Like for instance, when I used to work in healthcare, we were on like some smaller EMR, like some of these hospitals or health systems that was a part of. It's called I think it was called Meditech or Athena Health, one of those systems, one of those junior systems. And then we basically bought 6 additional hospitals. So we became one big hospital, which was the largest hospital at the time in Georgia. And we basically did a big bang implementation of Epic, which in a sense gave us a more holistic, robust EMR, EHR system that gave us a better way to provide patient care in a more effective, accessible, and efficient manner. Because now, when you think about it, of course, now patient portals are a big thing, but back then it wasn't really a big thing. Only certain systems had it. So we had a robust patient portal. We had telehealth now. There's so many different components that we had in Epic. And then from a security standpoint, we have privileges and access controls in place. If you're a nurse, you can see things that you can't see, things that a doctor can see. And if you're a doctor or internal medicine doctor, you're not supposed to see the same thing that a surgeon sees. So those different templates and those different levels of security and access controls and privileges are now being applied because now we have that Epic implementation. Epic dominates the market by I don't remember the number, but back then they were dominating the market by 60%. So I can just imagine now. I'm pretty sure they took a big chunk of the market between them and Cerner, of course, because those are the two leading EMR, EHR systems. So I say that all to say that I see what you're saying, like not just like, hey, I'm certified in Epic, because you hear that all the time. I'm certified in ambulatory, I'm certified in MyChart, I'm certified in security, Epic security. But yeah, but what did you do with the implementation? How did that help?
There you go. So you
And the
start with
executives love,
problem.
yes, they love like it saved us X amount of dollars. That's a big one.
Not only
You know,
that, the problem solution, right? What was the problem? Because you actually talked about that. There were all these 6 hospitals, maybe 6 different systems. None of the systems probably talk to each other. So you had errors, and maybe you had death rates and all these issues. And then all of a sudden you had this big bang, but you didn't just implement the Epic, because you also had to probably train all the users and all the doctors to make sure that they understood, because the power of technology is not in the technology itself, but in how productive and innovative it makes the people that you're implementing it for.
Mhm.
And then, of course, you talk about the results within 6 months, or because you have to talk about the time frame. Within 6 months or within a year, we saw error rates go down, death rates go down, et cetera, et cetera. Now you are talking like a business individual.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Very valid point. Yeah.
What else?
So another question I would have for you, how do you like teaching? That's a perfect question. Now, this is for me. So someone like me who works at Microsoft, I've done the healthcare thing just like you. You have probably worked in non-healthcare companies, which is what I'm doing now. And somebody who desires to get a doctoral degree in the future and eventually one day wants to be a teacher, whether if it's a part-time adjunct or professor, what are some of the things that bring you joy about teaching and what makes you continue to want to do it? And looking back at it, was it worth it going through your doctorate?
Yes, a lot of it is my personal journey in a way. It is the culmination of my personal journey. I've always enjoyed helping other people and seeing them succeed. And one of the things about life is that as you gain experience, it is very important to transfer that experience and that knowledge to the people that are coming after you, because our knowledge is really based upon the people that came before us. Without their knowledge, without their sharing their knowledge in whatever way they did, either through education or books or talks or whatever, we had to gain our knowledge somewhere, right? Similarly, knowledge is changing all the time. Your knowledge is going to be far more refined and at a higher level than, say, my knowledge, especially if it is 10 years, 20 years from now, right? Because things would have changed. And it is important for people to get the current knowledge at that time. Not only that, but sharing the stories and making things real to the people is also going to be important. My students, the reason they like me is because I have so much practical experience of having been a CIO, having been a C-level executive in all these various sectors. I can bring war stories to them, right? Make it real. It's not that they're doing whatever system. I can say, this is how we found the root cause of a particular problem, or this is how I dealt with my supervisor who was unethical, right? Because you're going to face those also, those situations. Or so what do you do when, say, a company or a supervisor wants you to do something unethical or illegal that you know is going to be harmful for the company? What do you do? So these are all life lessons that we can transfer. It's been wonderful for me for 2 reasons. Number one, it opened up doors that weren't open for me, number one, but it also built my brand. You see, the brand value, I'm one of the biggest proponents of branding and imparting value to your brand. The moment you put the doctor in front of your name, your personal brand value automatically goes up. Your credibility goes up. It's very hard for people to argue with you now if all they have is a bachelor's degree, right?
Yeah.
I can also, with a doctoral degree, I can actually provide a definition of something, of a word, and it will be considered authoritative. If somebody without a doctoral degree provides a definition, that definition is not what is called authoritative definition. So for example, even for the word cybersecurity, I noticed that there wasn't a definition of the word cybersecurity. People were spelling it with a hyphen sometimes, with a space sometimes, and there was all these various definitions floating around from people that didn't have doctoral degrees and didn't understand the models. So I said, okay, let me fix that problem. And I provided an authoritative definition based upon a model, which I have shared in multiple conferences, in my book, in various forums, and in front of both business people and academic people. And then it was peer reviewed and then accepted. So a lot of people are using that now. And those are the things that you can do with a doctoral degree. And of course, yeah, teaching does open up, and it is better because your brain will also change. So one of the things that people don't understand is education. Education's impact is truly on the brain. With a bachelor's degree, you get an overall broad knowledge base. With a master's degree, you really learn to think more like a leader and an executive, because that's what a master's degree is supposed to give you, provided it is the right master's degree where they have those elements, right? If they don't have the executive leadership elements in the master's program, then you won't get it. This is why it is also very important to go to master's programs that are designed and run by people with practical experiences. So for example, if you go to a master's in cybersecurity program and the chair or your dean has a PhD in English and no job experience in the field, are you really going to learn?
That's a good point. It's a good point.
Yeah.
It's a good point. But I appreciate that feedback for teaching experience. I always thought teaching, I always thought teaching was a great idea. I always thought teaching was a great idea because you could do it part-time while you're still in industry, or if you want to settle down, you could do it full-time later on in your life. And I'm a big believer of, the greatest leader is the best server, in a sense. That's servant leadership, teaching those different students. With that being said, I guess my next question would be more so around, my next question would be more so around like, how did you get to be who you are right now, Dr. Cybersecurity?
That's personal branding, right? So that one, it was very interesting. It was experimental in some ways. First of all, I obtained the Doctor of Science degree, but then as I was doing social media and I was posting things, one day it was a person who is media savvy, social media savvy, was posting, hey, I can give you a custom hashtag based upon your brand and what you do. So I thought, oh, that would be a pretty cool idea to do that. And so I shared with her what I do and all my content and stuff like that. And this was, I would say, this was probably 2017, 2018, around that time. And she basically said, oh, you should be using hashtag Dr. Cybersecurity, because that's what your brand like comes through as.
Yeah.
And I asked her, I said, wouldn't that be hokey? I mean, can I really call myself Dr. Cybersecurity? And she said, well, don't do it on every post, but you do it on your important posts so that it becomes easy to find it. Because see, the thing about hashtagging something, branding yourself, is that it makes it easier to find it. So for example, if you right now do hashtag Dr. Cybersecurity, you should see a lot of my content. And then after that, if you just consistently keep using it, just like marketing, right? Personal branding is somewhat marketing, but it's in a different way. Marketing the brand of a human being, right? And so when other people start referring to you as Dr. Cybersecurity, then you know that your brand is catching on. And then what starts to happen also is when your brand is strong enough, even when other people try to use that same brand logo, what they end up doing is promoting me. So I have seen other people try to do hashtag DrCybersecurity on their posts, but what do? Actually, they end up promoting me because they have not sustainably promoted their own brand to that level yet.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of doing it.
No, that makes sense.
You can
And
choose any brand you want.
in a sense, it's helping you. So that makes sense because you have sustained that credibility and you've probably been doing it longer. And you may have more valuable posts at that point.
And that is the other thing. So you have to, in order to establish a brand, you cannot just be advertising all the time. And that's one of the mistakes that people make. You have to provide content that is actually helpful to others. So even the video that we're doing right now, this is not an advertisement. It is content that should hopefully be valuable to anybody listening to it, because we're talking about a lot of subjects that should be helpful to a lot of people, right? And that is the art of personal brand promotion, is to create content that is useful and valuable to people. And what happens is that as a result of that, if you have products and services, they will automatically get promoted because your brand is becoming promoted.
Fair enough. And I'm not sure if you have any questions to me, but for the people who may be listening to this, I like to break it down sectors. So those who may be still in undergrad, or whatever the case may be, or try and get their bachelor's degree, my recommendation is definitely do internships. I think internships are big. I think that's where it got me to where I'm at. And I also think it's the key of our generation. So definitely interns. Now, if you're in the early stage of your career, just fresh graduates, or fresh graduates, or into like 3 to 5 years of work experience, continue to look at how to advance yourself, whether if it's those key certifications, whether if it's getting your master's maybe at that point, so you can propel yourself into that next role, whether it's coming from entry level to a senior, from senior to manager. Around that sweet spot around 3 or 5 years is a good indicator. And those are the two advice. And when you become to Dr. Cybersecurity level, when you look at it from his level perspective, he just gave us a lot of good advice and stuff of that nature. So those are the 3 different components I would like to hit, undergrad, early careers, and late in your career.
That's very valuable. But I also, one of the things that I've seen you do very well is you are networking. Notice that we really didn't work together or anything, but we have been networking. You have been networking with not only me, but a lot of other people. And I think that is a very important point, where regardless of your level, you just keep networking and see what other people are sharing. And that also starts to develop your knowledge, brain, everything. And you get things that you wouldn't get in any school or classroom. So it doesn't matter whether you're doing a bachelor's degree, master's degree, or working or whatever, you've got to do networking.
Yeah, I agree with that. Network is huge. LinkedIn helped me a lot, just connecting with people. I remember when I was younger, and actually, I think I told you this before we started recording. You were one of the key people that I looked to. I think I just typed in healthcare security and you popped up, and I just started following you. I may have typed in the HCISPP, which is the healthcare security certification from ISACA, not ISACA, ISC squared.
Right.
I just typed that in. I think you popped up. One of those two popped up. So I try to follow people on LinkedIn that had a place that I wanted, where they were already at a place that I wanted to see myself at in a few years. So I just connected with those people and have a lot of different connections on LinkedIn. I think I have almost like 8,000 followers or something of the nature. I have something a lot just because I've always been really heavy on the using, social networking and using the social medias to continue to build my knowledge up and continue to build my network art, because sometimes it's not about what you know, it's about who you know.
Yeah.
And that
No, this is great. So this has been an absolutely amazing conversation, Fortune. Thank you very much for coming. We should be closing down the recording right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.